Support for today's episode of This Is Only a Test comes from Squarespace. With beautiful templates created by world-class designers, Squarespace makes it easy to turn your idea into a new and unique website in just a few clicks. Squarespace's analytics also help you grow in real time. And if you have a question, their award-winning 24/7 customer support is there to help. Think it, dream it, make it with Squarespace. Now head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use the offer code TEST, T-E-S-T, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Hey, let's start the show. For Thursday, October 19th, 2017, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. This is only a test. Welcome this week to our podcast. I'm Norm, joined by Jeremy.
What up?
And Kishore.
Hello.
We are all, sorry for a little bit of late podcast this week, but we are deep in planning mode, building mode for the Tested live show. That's right. In case you forgot, next weekend we are putting on our annual stage show at the Castro Theater in San Francisco. We'll be doing it this will be our 4th year, and we have been building lots of stuff for it. So we really can't wait to see you guys there. Hopefully you can make it if you're in the Bay Area. The website is
Tested2017.eventbrite.com.
That's right. There's still some tickets available. And for Tested Premium members, we're going to put the video out of the whole show for you guys.
I think we should tease something about the live show.
Oh,
first.
We're teasing.
So there's some pretty awesome builds. I think my favorite build, which is going to come down like straight to the wire. Well, it's not my favorite build. I think my second favorite build. It's from our friend Alan Pan, who was a contestant on Mythbusters: The Search.
That's right.
He's an inventor. He has a great YouTube channel, Sufficiently Advanced. And initially, we were going to do a thing with his Fire Punch.
Oh,
which
yes.
is a Last Airbender, Futurama on the brain, where it's a punch-activated flamethrower, which was amazing. I've tried it out. It was great. The fire marshal said no.
Because of fire. It literally is right within his jurisdiction.
Yeah.
We said we wanted fire. Fire marshal said no fire.
Yeah, so unfortunately that's gone. But he's come up with another flying element.
Really?
So, yeah.
The Castro's cool with this?
Maybe I described it in terms that didn't imply certain flight. But
awesome.
Yes, this is probably the riskiest and nuttiest build, I think. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And the execution is completely uncertain whether it'll actually work.
And it goes without saying that one of my favorite things that I've ever uttered in terms of a build is later today we're building a meat cannon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's true. You're actually absolutely correct. This is something happening in the office today after we record this podcast. But anyway, how have you guys been doing? How was your weekends?
Oh, it's pretty good. Yeah. Boy, that was a while ago. We actually went to, we didn't podcast last week, did we?
We did podcast
we did?
4 people
last
week.
week. That's right. So it was 2 weeks ago we didn't.
Yeah.
God, it feels like it's been forever.
It has.
Well, we had these horrible fires and in the North Bay. Mm-hmm. And so the air quality in San Francisco was actually historically at an all-time low, where it was actually dangerous to breathe the air.
Walking down the streets of San Francisco, you could see many people, adults and children, wearing masks.
That's
SARS
right.
guards.
That's right. And it turns out,
we don't have SARS here.
You need the right kind of mask for that. Like, just the standard medical mask doesn't actually filter everything you want.
And actually
filtered.
could be worse because it can trap particulates in between.
What you want
your
is
face.
a respirator.
It's an N95 mask.
You want that one. Anyway, or you could just leave town. So that's what we did. My family, we visited Sacramento, which is a sentence you don't say too often. Hard. I love my peeps in Sacramento. It's just that there's not a whole lot going on there. It turns out that the downtown is kind of quiet at night. There's
kind of like San Jose.
I went to a place called Coin Op, which is like a barcade. So that was cool.
So you've not been in Sacramento for a long time? Like like you set out that as a goal to get away from the
Well, we checked the air
pollution.
quality map, and we
Right.
said, well, where is it clear?
Pocket of clear air in Sacramento.
So we went that way.
And then you Googled or used some service to say, now we're here. What can we do?
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of did a little bit of research ahead of time.
Why don't you go do like American River or like Russian River? Or
I don't-
Russian River, like American River.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you go towards Sacramento, there was like you can rent a raft for a day and just float down a river for 4 hours.
Okay. Well, we didn't do that. We went to the historic district of Sacramento. So we saw lots of candy and old stuff and
Stuff and candy.
whatever. We had a good time, but we had to do that, and actually we felt the difference.
Oh,
The
really?
next day I felt the difference in my lungs. It was a relief.
I definitely was feeling it. I took a picture one night like near sunset, maybe an hour before sunset, and I posted it side by side on Twitter with a picture I took in Delhi in India last year, and frankly the scene in San Francisco was worse in terms of how much pollution was obscuring.
There's been a
the
lot
air.
of photos comparing it to a Star Wars planet. You know, it's just because the light of the sunsets has been unreal.
Well, there's still no second sun. Like, let's not overdo it.
No, it's as close as we're gonna get.
Air quality in my house is something of an issue right now because I got my Glowforge.
What?
I got the Pro. So you have your Glowforge. You've had it for a while.
Yeah, because I got the basic model, which
Yes,
they shipped
shipped
first.
I think in June or July they start shipping those. A lot of people have them now, but it turns out they're starting to ship the Pros. So that's the upgraded model. It's 45 watt as opposed to the 40 watt, and now it's a class 4 laser system, not just a class 1 laser system.
This is a sort of consumer-focused laser cutter for those who aren't familiar.
That's right. And I have not done my first cut yet on the Glowforge because the tubing they provide a exhaust, like a 4-inch diameter, 8 foot long, I think.
Like a dryer duct exhaust.
duct. And the place I have it situated in my office is too far away from my window. And so I need to buy like 20 feet more ducting.
Oh, wow. Is the fan sufficient for that distance?
I hope so.
I don't know. You might need like a second fan.
Really? I don't want to move it. But anyway, I'm definitely not running it until I was like really tempted. Should I just run it? What could I do to run this and absorb all that? I'm definitely not going to cut plastic, but if I was going to cut some, particle board or some cardboard, could I soak a paper towel in water and absorb that smoke? I'm like, that's a bad idea. No, let's start off on the right foot and do it safely. And there is like a whole safety manual because it's the Pro model. I am now the official laser safety officer in my house. I have to have a sign outside the office saying class 4 laser inside.
It's a big deal.
And a light.
That's the highest
turn
class
on.
of a laser. It doesn't go beyond level 4.
It does not go beyond level 4.
Level 4 is the highest. I mean, it's sort of crazy because there's a lot more powerful lasers out there, but
It's
that
not
is the most powerful
It's
laser.
not the laser. It's the fact that the laser beam is exposed to your eye if you don't close the side flaps.
That's right. And the side flaps are because the side flaps can open and close with the Pro model to pass through material, which I don't think is ready yet. They're going to send these guards that let you lock up the side flaps. So
right.
And that's I'm waiting for that as well.
What have you made so far?
I
Nothing.
just said I haven't made anything because I don't have the long enough duct.
Or no, I should have phrased it this way. What are you planning to make?
Oh, so many coasters. Ripley's face on so many coasters.
Oh, boy.
But I'm looking forward to that. It's the future. I have now a laser cutter and a 3D printer in my office next to my VR gaming machine with a 40-inch monitor, 4K monitor, all in one room.
You are a production and manufacturing machine.
I just live in the future. Sometimes I look to my right and open the time portal and high-five myself in the past and go, come at me. Just wait, young Norm.
So this amazing thing happened the other night,
Well-
and I was gonna miss it. But I follow Dave Lavery, who's a friend of Tested. He works at NASA on Twitter, and all of a sudden it popped up that on Twitter he wrote MegaBots duel happening in just an hour.
Truly, I mean, the most indicative sign that we are in the future is that we can flip on our magic smartphone devices, our digital TV boxes in our hands, press a button, and then watch two giant robots fight each other in Japan. It happened.
It totally happened.
So MegaBots, the local-based, I guess, I don't know if they're startup. I don't know if they're not a makerspace, but they've been working on building this giant robot, and they've had their third version of this giant robot, which they showed at Maker Faire this year. But this is what they were building up to bring to a grudge match with a Japanese giant robot builder. They challenged them 2 years ago, famously on the internet.
Wasn't there like a Kickstarter or something?
They ran a Kickstarter. They've been producing a bunch of videos on their YouTube channel showing the making of their...
And some of those are great. Those build videos are really interesting. They're very tested, like in like how much detail they get into about the build process.
And we visited them. Simone made a guest appearance in one of them as they were testing some of their weapons. Did an interview with them, and they did the match. So this wasn't a live event. They live broadcast what they had recorded and edited, but it happened earlier this summer, and I had no idea. They flew to Japan
with their bot?
With two bots.
That's nuts.
Two robots in Japan.
They didn't fly the bots.
They were one of the companies that sponsored the event sponsored the shipping of the robots.
Oh my god.
Specifically.
Yeah.
And there was like a container off to the side in the match area that had like that company's name on it.
A giant shipping container.
Yeah.
Very cool. And they did like a 3-round bout with these robots. Now, I don't know if you were trying to follow along the Twitch stream. They streamed this on Twitch, and when I tuned in, it was like 190,000 people tuned in. Like
which is the most
people.
I've ever seen on a Twitch thing.
Live at one time watching this. Like earlier that day, they were on NPR. There were segments all over. This was a big deal.
Wow.
And this is like it was weird because it wasn't live. It was like pressing a play button to
Did you not see this?
No.
To broadcast.
Let me show you some highlights.
half-hour bot battle, but it was I was super skeptical about how exciting this match would be, and even a pre-recorded match played. It was super exciting.
Wait, these are like mechs? There's people inside of
Yes,
them?
Yeah.
That was the whole point. They were mechs. And, the mech part was like, it's a trade-off. If they weren't mechs, if they were just RC, I think you could probably do a lot more damage and be a little more bold. But I think it would, like, the goal of making these mecha of, like, two-person pilot or one-person piloting an actual mech, controlling movement, controlling weapons, it's the dream of MechWarrior. And, yeah, you're right. They don't move very fast. They're on wheels. They're on treads. They move they kind of roll toward each other, but they were punching each other.
But the guns are fake. They're just firing blanks.
They're firing paintballs.
Paintballs for a visual.
So the American Mark IV robot fires bowling balls filled with essentially this like cornstarch and paint mixture. Mm-hmm. So it was supposedly supposed to do damage with the bowling ball, but also blind the other robot. So I think there are a lot of haters because the matches weren't sort of battle bots type spectacular. There isn't like bots being flung up in the air, but that's not realistic. There's also people inside of these.
Exactly. But that made it more thrilling. Like, I'm not going to spoil who won or how it ended.
What?
The first match was with the old, like I believe the Mark II or III, like not the current Eagle Prime, and it was a knockout. So that was really cool to see. It looked like the guys inside the mechs were jostled, and it was dangerous for them to be knocked over while inside a mech. And then there was one scene. I'm just going to describe one sequence of events where the Japanese mech was shooting paintballs at Eagle Prime.
I have it up on my screen. I just showed him.
Eagle Prime grabs a girder and spins it as a shield.
It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen a robot do.
And then they knock over part of the set dressing, and the crew is like running away. Like they're like,
so did you think that was real? There's a part of this match, and we're not spoiling much, that they do crash into the set.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they filmed something in post to like.
No, that I think that happened in that
really
moment. I mean, safety is a huge concern, but they also kind of filmed it outside the United States. So
You sound like a person defending wrestling, Norm.
That's a great example, because even if, like, I don't think the tech is ready right now where we're gonna get like real robot death matches with real grudges. But if you put it under the frame of like wrestling and the drama of wrestling, this totally works.
Yeah.
Like the theatricality of it, like I don't care how scripted it is. There's still dudes inside giant robots moving at in tons of metal.
There you go.
There's still some danger there. Just like, in wrestling, there's still dudes throwing each other off of and hitting chairs at each other, right? But it's the fun of the drama.
I think for pure like sort of violence, I think BattleBots is still more entertaining. There's just more like kinetic action there. But, this was like 20, 30 minutes, but the build videos behind this make it really worth the time.
Totally.
I like the Optimus Prime paint job.
Oh, it's very Murica
Yeah.
on its paint job. Oh, and there's a drone too. We should mention the drone had one of my favorite moments.
The distraction drone was not long for this world. So think of it as like Glow, but giant robots, as opposed to wrestling. The other thing I watched this weekend and I got hooked on. Have you guys heard of American Vandal?
Yes.
Oh my God, Jeremy, have you heard of American Vandal?
I've heard of it. I haven't chosen to watch it yet. Is this the David Lynch? No.
Let me ask you a question, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Where'd the dicks come from?
I don't want to spoil too much. A lot of you guys out there, we've gushed about Serial. We've gushed about S-Town, true crime, serialized, investigative storytelling for podcasts, right? And obviously there's a lot of like true crime documentaries, like the Making of Murderer. Netflix itself had its own. So this came out of nowhere, I think in September, and this is one of the problems with so much good stuff being on TV that unless you're watching it when they're making the buzz, when it comes out, you completely fall on the radar. But if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It is the best parody. It's not a farce. It's not a satire. It is an earnest parody of the kind of investigative journalism that goes into like a serial type show, but applied to high school vandalism.
You would never know that this was such an amazing parody.
You could watch the whole thing and think it's real.
Also, just from like the description, if you're scrolling past Netflix, when I saw American Vandal, I'm like, oh, that's one of those like weird crime shows, and I want to watch that. And then I stopped on it one night, and it like auto plays like the trailer, and like 15 seconds into the trailer, I'm like, oh, I'm watching this.
And I was super like impressed by the fact that they could not just stretch this out to 8 episodes, 8 30-minute episodes, but that every episode introduced some new aspect that made it actually compelling to watch as a fictional drama. Like I was invested in these characters.
Do not watch this with your kid.
Yeah, it's not for kids. It's for adults.
Is it for high schoolers?
It's definitely
Sure.
That's actually a really good question because I was watching it with Danica and her sister, and who has kids, and we couldn't figure out like who is this for. Like, it's not really for like the older folk because they use a lot of like millennial slang and millennial technology. Like there's a lot of Snapchatting going on, and it's the idea is it's produced by kids in the high school as part of like their media class.
Oh, okay.
So it's all self-contained in the world of the high school, but you don't really appreciate it unless you are like a connoisseur of these serialized, investigative true crime podcasts or shows.
I mean, if you've ever just asked your question, where'd those dicks come from? This show is for
who did the dicks?
Yeah, who did them?
Do you want to know the premise, Jeremy?
Well, I kind of get it. I kind of get that some kids drew some dicks.
No, one kid drew, or at least allegedly.
I'm only two episodes in.
It's right there.
I don't know.
It's right there on the whiteboard.
27 dicks on 27 cars.
Oh.
And over $100,000 of damage on teachers' cars, and the idea is that it may not have been him. And so
it sounds like Serial already.
It does. And like if you listen to like that type of This American Life NPR style like reporting, it's exactly the same tone.
So now I know why I've heard of it. It's because you were gushing about this the other day, and I don't understand how they don't make it satirical. You said it's not. Right. It's not a satire.
It's not a farce. I mean, there are satirical. There are laugh out loud moments. I like slap my leg. I guffawed, but.
I'm imagining Christopher Guest, right?
No, it's not Christopher Guest.
Because that's a farce.
Right. You could watch this whole thing and believe it was real.
Yeah, you're never like let in on the joke. Like they never treat it as a joke.
No, they treat it 100% seriously.
Interesting.
Yeah. Super highly recommended.
Okay.
Other things I assume are highly recommended, but I don't know because I haven't seen it yet, is apparently there's a new Black Panther trailer.
You didn't see it?
I am not watching trailers.
Oh,
This is a new thing with you.
This
Okay.
is a new thing.
All right.
Joey's impact
You know
on
what?
this office.
Hey, I guess we could talk about Black Panther first. So let's do that. I saw it. I thought it was interesting.
The trailer?
Yeah. I mean, I was already invested, so I'm going to see it, whatever.
Trailer looks good. It sets up the main conflict a little bit more clearly than the previous teaser. And everything looks good. Wakanda looks amazing. It's very Coruscant reminiscent, like a lot of like high tech, lots of.
That's the thing. Like it seemed like the Black Panther's well, not a costume, but like his armor can do things that it couldn't do in the previous film.
Really?
Yeah, the way that it forms around him automatically, like that.
What? You're spoiling.
Well,
No. This is costume design at this point we're talking about.
It's very clear that the Marvel Universe started off as like kind of almost grounded in real world. What would it be like if an Elon Musk type Tony Stark was trapped in a cave and put some rockets on a piece of armor? But once they got to Iron Man 2, it became magic. It was all magic. It was all like fantasy. Like it's none of it's grounded in the real world. It's all just vibranium and nanobots and AI.
Go ahead.
I will tell you one joke. Did you see the poster?
No, I didn't see the poster.
Well, the poster has has all the main characters.
Yep.
And
what type of poster is it? Is it? Oh, it's a multiple person poster.
Multiple person
stacking
poster.
of heads.
Yeah, exactly.
A pyramid of heads.
And so there are all these brilliant African American characters in there, and there's two white guys. There's Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis.
Martin Freeman, who was in Civil War as he was. Was he a good guy in the Civil War?
He was a SHIELD
interrogator or something.
And
then,
Andy Serkis,
who
Ulysses Claw.
Yes, who Claw is a notable villain. I'm sorry, in Infinity Wars.
So there's a joke going around that somebody posted on Reddit. I love that the only two white guys in this poster are Bilbo and Gollum, and somebody wrote below that they're the token white guys.
They're the Tolkien white guys.
Tolkien. That's good.
Nice.
That's a good one.
That's a very clever joke.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's good. Gary Whitta actually posted a photo to Twitter of a box of Kleenex. The box was Star Wars themed. Dan Emmerich responded, "Now let's blow this thing and go home." I thought that was pretty great.
Those are good, clever guys.
Welcome to the dad joke section of the podcast. This is great.
So back to your point about not seeing trailers.
Yeah.
I finally watched Blade Runner.
Oh, 2049.
2049.
All right. We're not going to spoil it. Watch it.
I know I'm late to this story. We probably are past even talking about this at length. But I loved it. I just regretted having seen the trailers.
There you go.
Because I knew when Harrison Ford was going to show up. Because I knew the environment.
Oh, because of the landscape.
Yeah. And that pissed me off because it was not early in the film.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't see that trailer, maybe I wouldn't even have known. You know,
he was going to be in there.
It'd be hard to ignore the fact that Harrison Ford was in this movie, though. So you were expecting
because he's on the poster, etc. But at least I wouldn't have known when to expect it. I would have enjoyed that. But man, what a film! What a film! Go see it if you haven't seen it.
Something you guys recommend I haven't seen is Voltron, and apparently season 4 is out now.
Yeah, Netflix just drops shows whenever without any notice these days.
Yeah, they broke this season up into 2 releases, so it's kind of a compromise between the bingers and the people wanting to stretch it out.
So it's season 3.5,
yeah.
And I love this show. It has great cliffhangers. There's a long running story arc that doesn't resolve easily. It's just not an easy story everywhere, and it's still goofy and fun.
But in every episode, has a purpose. It's not just fill in the gaps between.
There's one filler episode this season, but
okay. Well, I haven't watched this whole season.
But it's a Rhys Darby episode, and Rhys Darby's the best. So
I wasn't nuts about the first episode, but then the second one I thought was one of the best yet.
If you haven't watched the show, the season 3 ending was great. So good. They explain the backstory a lot.
Yeah, and I'll say again that the show is remarkably beautiful. I mean, the fact that these kids have this today, and it has a great story, but the fact that they have this beautiful, beautiful show,
I think they have the original Voltron on Netflix too.
Yeah.
If you want to punish the person you're watching, make them watch a few of those old school ones because those do not hold up by any stretch.
No, I imagine.
They're awful.
All right. Something I am watching is Star Trek Discovery, and this past episode, I don't know if we should do like a Discovery recap. Are you guys watching it?
See, that would have been interesting.
Well, we haven't even started our DS9 recap yet, so don't throw shade at that yet.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Discovery, its 5th episode.
Yep.
Oh my God! Wow.
This past week, and a little bit controversial. So not going to plot points, but one of in the dialogue, they used the F word twice, and people were kind of shocked about that. I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Really?
I didn't think the use of the word was a big deal, but it furthers the biggest criticism of the show, which is that this is a Star Trek that's not very Star Trek, because the morality of the characters is often in question. Who we think is good and bad. Like the Federation isn't necessarily like all wholesome in this.
Well, they had to get that point. I think some people have made a good point that the Federation that we know, even pre-Kirk in Enterprise, and I guess you make a fantastic point, because this is supposed to be slotted between Enterprise and TOS, the Enterprise, the TV show. And even in Enterprise, the characters were at least somewhat wholesome. But I think the showrunners of Discovery would argue that this show is about how the Federation got its values.
Sure.
Will eventually get its values.
Sure, but that's why it doesn't feel like Star Trek, because it's sort of pre-Federation in some way.
It doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like they make it gritty and, edgy.
For the sake of edginess?
Just for the sake of getting viewers, of making it current.
I actually don't mind. I think this criticism of it's not very, very Trek-like. It doesn't bother me because it's still entertaining so far.
The least Trek thing about it is just the serialized storytelling.
Yeah.
The fact that the bridge crew, like I guess the way it's focused on not an ensemble, it's focused on a very small handful of characters. It's focused on Michael Burnham, the lead character, and it's focused on the Captain Lorca, and you get a little bit of like Doug Jones' character, but it's not the kind of ensemble show where you are familiar and you get the B storylines with the other bridge crew, even though it's the same recurring cast. It's a fantastic designed bridge crew.
They don't have here's the Troy episode just to kind of develop out that character.
You barely know their names.
Yeah, you stay focused on, and I don't mind that. I really like. I know people had a lot of trouble with
Tribbles.
There is a scene in a prison sort of environment that a lot of people had trouble with the Jason Isaacs character. I loved it.
Yeah, and I think people say there was even a story on IO9 that said this is the moment that Star Trek lost its soul. I think it's right in line with the character.
Yeah. I really like how he's playing. Jason Isaacs is playing this character so far.
Yep.
I don't know.
I'm enjoying it.
I love that you with the old Star Treks, you watch them with your whole family. You get your 7-year-old in there, your 10-year-old, the whole family comes together. This does not seem like that Star Trek.
You got to watch the Orville is that show.
So
the Orville is 100% that show that you watch with your family.
Be that as it may, this is called Star Trek,
yeah.
and I'm not sure Gene Roddenberry would approve of it.
Yeah, there are many things he probably wouldn't have approved of either. But they laid some rules down. I mean, yeah.
I still think it's pretty fucking cool.
One last thing, we've been doing some Let's Builds, and Jeremy and I did one earlier this week. But there's a story in there that I gotta share with Kishore on this podcast.
Okay.
You've seen a lot of Next Generation.
I've seen all of Next Generation multiple times. Yes.
Now bear with me out there, viewers out there, because we're gonna go on a journey.
You want some music?
I don't think I need the music.
Okay.
In Next Generation, there are a lot of props. There's one particular prop I'm going to talk to you about that you may or may not have noticed, and I want you to try to visualize it. The prop, Kishore, if you look at me, in fact, has been on this table the entire time.
What? It's been on this table the entire time.
It's right here. So does this ring true to you at all? Is this something that you recognize?
I know what that is.
So for people out there who are just listening to the audio, I'm holding my.
It's that big.
Whoa!
Oh,
It's
YouTube.
that big.
Yeah, well, hold on. This is a prop that I'm holding in my hand. It's a crystal. It's a slender, about 2 inches by 7 inches crystal, perfectly clear. It looks a little bit like the crystal from the Dark Crystal, but this is the prop in Star Trek: Next Generation. And do you recognize it, Kishore?
Only because I may have watched a couple Next Generation episodes last night, just this week, and it did show up. I recognized something, but I don't remember it being that big in the captain's ready room. Oh, is that what we're talking about?
We are talking about this. So you have passed the Star Trek test. This is Picard's crystal.
So I didn't know about this for the longest time. I would have never known about it because it's the least obvious thing that's happening in that room.
And it's a ghost. In Picard's ready room, he has several notable props, including a fish tank. He has his laptop, some isolinear chips, and apparently he also has this crystal. And this crystal is something he actually holds throughout the series, and it appears in 78 episodes of The Next Generation.
No.
Yes.
There was only there's probably like 150, 160 episodes, something like that?
Yep.
Whoa.
And so it's something that I've seen Next Generation multiple times. I never realized it was there.
It's really that big?
Yeah. He holds it and he strokes it and he contemplates with it and Riker uses it at some point.
What?
Yep.
There you go.
But it's a official prop replica, designed by a local fan of Star Trek, and it's sold through Ron Berry's website, ronberry.com. But he sent it over, and I love it as just a artifact from the future. All right, let's get to tech news. All right, not quite technology, but definitely wanted to put it here.
Yeah.
We're familiar with the folks at Geek Chic. They had been a staple at many pop culture conventions. They made furniture and also wooden, swords and axes. Basically, they were a Washington state-based furniture company that catered to boutique furniture for board gamers, tabletop gamers.
But they also did interesting things like they made the Star Trek original series Captain's Chair.
Yep, they had that at Silicon Valley Comic-Con.
But it was done beautifully. Like
totally.
If you didn't know it was Star Trek, you'd just think it was a stunning chair.
Yeah. And when we met the founder, CEO at Silicon Valley Comic-Con, a super great guy. Everyone is full of life, and always been envious of their lineup.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this a couple months ago, but earlier this year they went out of business.
Yep.
It was kind of sudden. No one expected it. Rumors are that they were in debt because they made a financial acquisition and they bought a company with a lot of debt built into it. But anyway, regardless of what happened, they unfortunately went out of business, which is super sad. And so I'm of two minds of this because it was brought to my attention that they're being liquidated.
Mm-hmm. I assume.
Why are you two minds about this?
Because I don't. It's like picking the corpse of something I really enjoyed, and it's not like it's not going to go to them. It's going to go to the creditors,
but it's going to happen regardless.
It's going to happen.
This isn't like if I support this is going to happen more often situation. This is just
true.
I'm surprised. I guess the fact that you're sharing this on the podcast means you're not planning to bid on anything.
That's what I'm surprised about, that you're sharing it for your because now you're introducing more competition.
I'm not going to bid on this stuff. For one, because you have to pick it up in Washington. I don't think they're going to ship it. It's like you show up, there's some online bidding, but there is a website, I believe it's at murphyauction.com, and you can even search the Geek Chic live auction, but they're being liquidated, all their equipment. If you have a shop that you run,
or if you want to build a shop,
or if you want to build a furniture shop, you can get from 44-inch belt sanders to giant saws to a lot of leftover furniture.
Yeah, and not entirely complete tables to really finished tables.
You
So-
mean like things they were working on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's different states, which I think could be potentially interesting for a lot of tested listeners who want to jump into a project that has a little bit of ways to go.
They have things that are like 27 of their 5 foot by 4 foot gaming tables, incomplete, missing some of the leaves and lids, but they have 27 of them, and there's no minimum, no reserve. So I'll keep an eye on this.
I think I actually might bid on one because, like, the idea of this is a lofty goal, but having a dining room table that also operates as a gaming table.
You're talking me back into it now. So maybe this is a call out. It was one, to share the information with you out there, but two, if you're in the Washington area and you can make your way over to the auction and pick up the furniture on our behalf, I'll pay for the shipping. But letting you know that's happening. It's going to be next Tuesday the 24th, 10 a.m. And I believe we'll put a link in the show notes. But super, super sad that this company went out of business. But I'm hopefully, if you ever wanted one of their furniture, one of their tables, and you weren't able to buy one or order one, you might be able to get one next week. This might be your final chance to get one.
For sure, it's a sad moment, but hopefully these will find great homes of makers that are going to use them to the fullest.
Last week we talked about Google's phone event, the big Pixel event, and they have ads now, billboards everywhere. They had ads on video on opening night for a basketball, the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL, and the reviews are out. So we don't have one, unfortunately. Our most advanced Android phone I think we have is the Essential phone still. But the Pixel 2 XL has the dual camera system, and there are a couple things that have been
Dual
notable.
camera system with one camera, though.
That's right. Dual focus system, I should say. There are two notable things about the reviews. There's a lot of known quantities in terms of the speeds and feeds, but one is that people are saying that the fake bokeh effect is very good.
Like compared to the iPhone.
Compared to the iPhone.
If
7
you
and
want
iPhone 8.
if you want to test it out yourself, Norm tweeted out somebody from The Verge, right?
Dieter Bond from The Verge
Posted two
two
pictures.
pictures side by side, and they're running a poll. As I think still going right now. I've made my choice.
I did too.
And my choice, unfortunately, was the one that had the fewer votes.
Wait,
I like
really?
the one with the fewer votes.
Did she post an iPhone and
Yes.
the Pixel?
Yes,
It was an
the
iPhone.
two.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
a
cool.
comparison.
iPhone 8, right?
Yes,
8 Plus?
iPhone 8 it has to be a plus for
Yeah.
the two cameras. Jim, I'd like you to run through this test right now and choose which one you think is the better picture.
Yep.
But the other notable thing about the reviews is the screen. Apparently, the screen may not be as great as Google had advertised.
Yeah, so I read those reviews because I've been considering getting it. I mean, my big sort of hesitation is how far back-ordered they are already. But they're also offering a trade-in program on previous Google phones. So I looked, and they're offering $410 for my current Pixel XL.
Oh.
Which means essentially I get half off the Pixel 2 if that's what I wanted, which is, I feel like, a really interesting deal. But the screen stuff has scared me off a little bit, and I almost want to try it given some of the screen reviews.
Yeah.
Because it's like laggy Android stuff.
Well, it's not the laggy Android stuff. It's the OLED panel, the LG panel on the screen apparently just doesn't do great color representation. It may not be something you notice day to day. I'm sure these are things that are tuned and calibrated to, and some of it's subjective, like they want images to look a certain way. But it may not be great if you're designing something on your phone, if you're doing reviews on your phone. Jeremy's still looking at his pictures, doing left and right
It's
comparison.
just not fair. This is not a fair comparison. One's a better photo.
Well, one he's smiling in, and that's why it's a better photo.
Yeah, he's better, but it's also better lit. There's better contrast. His hair is in a position that lends to a better test.
So
but
what
isn't
I
he
would
in the
say-
same position? So isn't that contrast because of the camera?
No. Well, one also is like the focal length, maybe subtle differences, and two, like what you see in the back, how much of the background you see. I would say evaluate it subjectively. What you think is a better use of the fake bokeh effect.
That's what I'm looking at.
Look
But I
at
think one of these is a better test of that because of see his hair. You get a lot of hair sticking straight up on that one.
Right.
The other one not so much.
Right.
But this one is the better one.
You think the second one is the better one?
Yep.
Do you make your vote?
I will vote. I guess I voted somehow already. I
Oh.
voted exactly. Yep, the right.
That's what I chose as well.
I
You
chose
chose
the
the
left.
left. So which is probably the iPhone 8 Plus.
Wow, really?
That's my guess.
All right. Well, we'll see. All right. So it's still back ordered. These aren't issues. Maybe I don't think it's a manufacturing issue. I think it's a decision they made in terms of choosing.
Google hasn't been great about coming out with heavy duty supply on any of these phones. So this is just par for the course.
Heavy supply may be a big issue also with Apple's upcoming iPhone 10, as there was one report on Ars Technica that said the first batch of iPhone 10 units,
13.
maybe a little more than that.
Like 40,000, right?
46,000.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's a little bit
What?
it's misleading because there's no way
That's
they're
like-
only going to be
No.
50,000.
That's just the first shipment to Apple right now, like today.
Okay.
That's not what's going to be available at
Because
launch.
that's Szechuan sauce level of unavailability.
Yeah.
And that's
bad news.
not even to the U.S. That's the first batch to the Netherlands and the UAE.
Okay.
So there's going to be hundreds of thousands of these.
Sure.
What's indicative, what you can take away from the story, from the batch story, like the headline reads, makes it look like that there are only going to be 50,000 on launch day, which that's not going to be the case, I believe. But it's about how fast their OEMs, whether it's Foxconn, I guess, who's making this, or can assemble these phones and put them together, and whether there are any shortages in parts.
That's the problem.
Do we have any guesses on what the shortage actually is? Which part is
It's
causing
the distance
shortage?
sensor.
Yeah, they say it's in that
Wow.
front camera.
It'll be interesting to see, they've never done two new phones in a year like they did the 8 and the 10. It'll be interesting to see, is there this pent-up demand that is going to now go all into the 10?
There's no one there for the 8.
Well, they haven't said anything about the 8
No.
either in terms of its sales, right?
Yeah. But, so I haven't checked. Can you get an 8 today if you
I
order
bet
it?
you can. I mean, there were reports that iPhone 8 production has been cut in half.
It will
already.
be cut in half
Oh.
once they release the 10 is what I read.
Right.
In any case, it'll be interesting to see how long does demand last for the 10 such that you have to wait to get it.
In Apple's best interest, their financial interest, what they want to happen is they already sold suckers on the 8 who want the phone at that price already. And as long as they can keep up with that demand, which it looks like you can, because it's not difficult to get an 8,
Wait, did you say they sold suckers the 8?
who at that price, people who want to buy that phone and not pay and not pay basically for the same phone from last year.
Oh, gotcha. But it's got some new stuff.
Some new stuff. But what they want people to be all on with a 10 because they're making much more money per phone on that. It costs $200 more.
Well, we don't know quite yet.
So in their ideal world, the demand, all that demand would that would have been for the 8 has now trickled into the 10, and they just need to meet that demand with supply. And it doesn't look like that's the case.
Right.
So it's going to be, people are going to be burned. There's some people who might just hold on to their 6s and 7s.
And we'll know in a week, right? Because I'm sure, hours into the launch, we'll get some idea of how far back they're back ordered.
It's so, it's so stupid because many people try to get the phones as soon as possible because it's a matter of prestige or they want it's the new shiny thing. But if they're in a position where they feel like the 8 isn't the new shiny thing, the thing that's already available isn't, and they can't get the new shiny thing, then the luster might be gone. And you know what? Reality will set in that these are $1,000 phones, and they just won't buy one this year. And guess what? That's fine for consumers. Great, because you don't need a new phone this year.
I don't know. I think as long as they don't slip too far past Christmas, I think they're going to be okay. I'm obviously not getting one. Are either of you?
I don't know. I'm really reluctant about it, but I might, just because my phone, my 6S, is chugging on iOS 11.
Oh, your poor headphones.
It's not. Yeah, I know. And so that's just a whole thing. But I don't like having to buy a new phone because the new OS made my phone sluggish. That is painful.
Yeah.
So it's very bitter. And if I do get this phone, and I don't know. It could be bad news if I don't like the phone, man. Could be Android day for me.
Wow, that's not gonna happen. Don't believe him. He's joshing you right now. It's not just supply problems Apple has to deal with. There's also new awareness about just how bad their keyboards are on the new MacBooks. And Jeremy, I know.
Wait, like this MacBook?
Yes.
So they've had this MacBook out for a year now. Why is this news?
Apparently more problems than before. So on the outline, Casey Johnson wrote a story about her problems with the new MacBook keyboard, and taking it into the Apple Store several times.
Oh.
And something that the Apple geniuses over there told her was that it could be, a speck of dust could have fallen under your keyboard and screwed up your spacebar. I have just been unhappy with the MacBook keyboards and using whenever I've used it. They feel way too soft and mushy.
Oh, really?
The butterfly keyboards.
There's very little throw to it. And whenever I use my wife's older MacBook, I much prefer those keys.
Yeah.
But I've gotten used to this.
Gotten used to it.
Yeah.
You've resigned yourself to use that keyboard.
Yep.
That's a theme here with Jeremy and Apple right now. Resignation.
Resign myself to wait till back in supply. Resign myself to update to the new OS, regardless of how slow it makes the phone. Can't convince you to maybe change to the new Surface laptop?
Actually, I'm thinking about it because I'm in the market and I'm looking for something powerful. And all the news out of the Microsoft event was about the Surface 2 laptop.
So Microsoft updated its Surface Book. This is I would call it their first real laptop before the quote-unquote actual branded capital S, capital L Surface laptop. The one with a detachable screen. The Surface Book 2, two sizes. You have your 13-inch and now a 15-inch. Latest Intel processors. And on the high end, on the 15-inch one, you actually could get a GTX 1060 on this laptop.
Wow.
Which is pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how much does that cost?
$2,500.
Oh, that's
starting price.
Not interested.
Yeah, it's kind of pricey. But once you live with a touchscreen laptop,
Yeah, I bet. You start touching everybody's MacBooks, what happens?
or not wanting to touch their MacBook.
You totally touched my screen. Or at least,
Did I?
Yeah, you have before. You've reached out and you just, oh, yeah. That's right.
and
Doesn't
just
do
been
anything.
disappointed that nothing happened. Yeah. And the Surface Book 2s were launched this Tuesday to coincide with the Fall Creators Update for Windows 10, which is now rolling out. And Fall Creators Update now, of course, has Windows mixed reality support, even though I really haven't seen any of these headsets in the wild.
Nor much news on them.
Didn't they launch on the 17th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 days ago. They've been shipping. I guess people who pre-ordered them may have started receiving them now. The one that a lot of people have been waiting for, the Samsung Odyssey HMD, is not shipping yet until early November, and may not even make it overseas. So I would call it a soft launch for VR for Microsoft. But we'll be getting them in to do some tests, and we'll talk more about that in projections and in the VR Minute.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter you liked the tweet. They made a really good suggestion. Hook up one of those to a backpack.
I totally want to do it.
PC, have your tetherless VR experience.
Yeah, especially with the lower system requirements on Windows Mixed Reality. Even if it's the basic mode, you still have the positional tracking. We have laptops here that could totally run that and do some.
Do you think you could walk outside?
Of course you could.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like, get away with it.
Oh, you mean
I'm sure you'll do your testing.
Yeah.
Here in the office, but could you walk outside in San Francisco?
You start outside, like on a basketball court or something.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a good place to do the test. Actually, like a basketball court.
Well, you need reliable Wi-Fi, so it has to be right.
Well, I can just tether it to my phone.
Okay.
There's no pass-through, so you can't see the world.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. That's why I want an open field, an open area. But walk to the edge of that cliff house and just keep on walking.
Yeah, I want to see how big of an area you can scan and put up your little boundaries.
There's a difference between how big the total area, like the one room is, and how much continuous new room area. So, like, could I start if I have a wireless system, could I start in a room like this, which is what Microsoft imagines you teleport around, and then walk into our main office, and then walk outside on the street, and then keep on walking? I don't know. These are things to be tested.
And Norm was never seen again.
Yeah. Vaporized, just like faded into the air. Adobe also has its annual developer conference going on this week. Adobe Max. They've updated a bunch of their suite in Creative Cloud. Big news for photographers, myself included. Lightroom is changing forever. Adobe Lightroom, as we know it, Lightroom 6 is going to be rebranded Adobe Lightroom Classic. And the new Lightroom is going to be completely service/cloud based.
You don't say.
Like everything else with Adobe.
Yep. They want you to pay for storage. They want you to pay for annual updates. The last Lightroom that you'll be able to buy as a standalone product is the current Lightroom, and we'll get no more camera updates. So
you must have hundreds of thousands of pictures in Lightroom.
I do have 100,000 pictures, but I'm okay with it.
Really?
I'm gonna stay with Classic.
Well, I mean, the fact they're switching to Classic, isn't that some indication that they're not going to?
It's not the
in the
Pro
future.
version
They're
updated.
not going to support feature updates and all sorts of stuff.
I mean, it works for me now, and it's very CPU dependent. It's fast enough, and so I imagine as I can only upgrade in hardware, that piece of software will just get slightly better incrementally, just through hardware, not through software improvements. I imagine eventually when I upgrade to a new camera, 3 years, 4 years down the line, I'll have to look at another software.
Now,
option.
why is it that Adobe's the only people that can add new cameras to?
No, everyone can
Lightroom?
add new cameras to their own software, but Adobe is the only one that can add camera information to their software.
So there's not like an open text-based file format. You can just
No.
import new camera information.
No. They keep
I
that
wonder if
closed.
that'll be hacked. If like people figure a way to do that.
That's a good question.
Is that a file that you download as to add a new camera to Lightroom, or is
Is that
it?
like a profile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you-
Like if they could hack it into the new CC and or in Photoshop, for example, and then bring that profile in. I don't know.
How do you use that profile? Like when you
It just-
import stuff?
It automatically knows.
Oh,
It creates metadata in the photo that lets the photo be processed a certain way.
Oh, okay.
So without recognizable photos, it just wouldn't have that metadata. You can still edit the photos.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to know a bunch of information.
Be a
about
more
it.
manual process.
Yeah. Moving on. Sad news for gamers.
All of them?
Yeah, all of
Oh
them.
my god, that's everybody.
Fans of Star Wars and Dead Space. EA has shut down Visceral Games.
Oh.
Visceral Games, the company they bought to do. God, what was the first game they made before Dead Space? It was the Dante's Inferno. Do you remember this?
No.
It was action game. I remember I was back at Future Media when the game came out, and EAPR sent a cake in the shape of body parts to promote this game.
Scrumptious.
Yeah. Visceral was working on a Star Wars single-player game. And this was going to be directed by Amy Hennig, who had written and directed the first two Uncharted games. And the game had been, I assume, no one has seen it, but I assume they've been moving along development. And then they looked at what the game would be, which would be a linear, like an Uncharted-style linear action game in the Star Wars universe, something we were all looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you know what? Not enough loot boxes.
Yeah.
So they're going to completely revamp it, use the Star Wars license to make something more akin to maybe like a Destiny-style game, a game as a service, and can that exist in game, which is super sad.
That means it's years away.
Years away, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this game was going to be years away too. I don't think this game was slated. They didn't announce the timing for this game.
It's
either.
too bad for that studio to shut down, though.
Yeah. Going back to some hardware stuff, we're going to look at some quick hits. There's new Ultimaker Kira software, Kira 3.0, if you have an Ultimaker. Kira open source, so a lot of profiles for different printers, including the Lulzbot. So I think between Kira and Simplify, those are the slicers that we like using.
Well, and
And
Slicer.
Slicer.
Yeah.
And Slicer. So go check that out.
Cool.
What's Woz doing these days? What's going on with
Did
Woz?
you guys see this? You must have seen this. This must have been on your radar. You work at a school. Woz is starting a school.
What do you mean he's starting a school?
Woz U. It's an online education platform.
What? Like focused on tech? Well, focused
Yes.
on what?
There's 2 curriculums. You can learn to become a technical support engineer or a full stack programmer.
Okay.
I don't think Woz will be teaching you.
I mean, this must be a partnership with some other company that
It
already
is.
does this
It is.
stuff.
But they are planning to launch next year. But the site is up now, woz-u.com. Tech Education for the Masses by Steve Wozniak.
I feel like this segment of the industry is just littered with companies doing all of this.
And God bless them. They need to. Somebody's going to figure out the future of education, right? It's not going to be going to college forever.
Yeah, it just seems like this, like Woz slapped his name on a thing.
It but you gotta think twice because it's Woz. Like he's a sharp guy. He's still got it. So I want to know what he saw in this service that hadn't been done before. It's all the development is web based, which is interesting because it's definitely not where Woz came from.
Yeah,
but I'm interested in it. Someone with kids who's thinking about their education on down the line. My son's only 10, my daughter's 7. I could see potentially, if they are interested in the right tracks, doing an online education program instead of going to college. I don't know if something will be mature enough. And
is something you can see yourself using?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, man, if this existed back when I was in school, the whole online education stuff, it's just like, even if it's not designed to be educational, the fact that Wikipedia exists and there are tools out there like, code.org or just things that you can use to learn things, it favors the self-motivated in a way that never has been possible.
I like the idea of MOOCs. I've taken MOOCs, meaning massive online open courses. But the research on them, like how many people actually complete the courses, go on, is fairly poor.
That's what I mean. Like, you got to be self-motivated.
You got to be motivated. There has to be systems in place to sort of help keep you inside that program. So I love the idea of this. I mean, so much is at your fingertips in a way that wasn't when we were in school. But there's something still about this model that needs tweaking.
Yeah. It's like what is that thing? Is it like some sort of satellite micro classes, study groups that are all sharing the same course?
A friend of mine teaches at a place called Minerva, which is this idea of a college, but all the classes are online, but you still have an on-campus type feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it does reduce certain costs, but it's very 21st century. So I think more stuff like that is going to show up.
Yeah, and it's not right for every every study. It seems to lend itself well to technical skills, especially web development, where you can do that live on the web with instructors over the internet, which is practically as good as being there in person with them. But for creative, maybe other more creative pursuits like writing and painting or other scientific studies even, nope, there's still brick and mortar old school college education.
Going back to the game world, something also controversial and shook up the game world is that Humble Bundle, which I think everyone here has contributed to and bought from, has been acquired by IGN.
Acquired?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Full on acquired? They're not just doing a partnership or something?
IGN bought Humble Bundle.
So was Humble Bundle not a nonprofit?
I don't know exactly how the business worked.
Are they making money at Humble Bundle?
Wow. Oh, good questions.
Yeah.
Good questions.
But they have now joined forces. IGN is now the owner of Humble Bundle.
Interesting.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I think there's going to be Humble Bundles that have a little bit more sponsored content in them.
Yeah, is there a conflict of interest?
I mean,
there?
they always were.
Absolutely.
That's what Humble Bundle was, right? It was sponsored content.
Yeah.
Essentially,
it was the loot boxes for software.
So it feels like this is a play for IGN to sell more advertising, whatever you want to call it, like sponsored content.
Or subscriptions.
Sure.
But they're promising, of course, that Humble Bundle will be run independently and they're going to maintain some editorial integrity. But it's something that will be proven out. I mean, you don't buy something just for the amount of money it's making. You buy something because you see a strategic value in it.
Yeah.
And so how that will play out is yet to be seen. We'll be cautious. I don't remember the last thing I bought from. I think it was maybe some comic packages.
IGN's selling stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, creating a storefront. I mean, they have a whole infrastructure for stores, and digital fulfillment. So, it could make some sense.
We're gonna get tweets from Dan Stapleton now.
Elon Musk has.
Are we entering the shower? Wait, we gotta enter the shower.
All right. Do we have music for entering the shower?
Yeah, of course we got it. We got stuff like that.
And so we enter Elon's shower. It's still the most disturbing music we have.
Wow.
If there
what's
was
the temperature in that shower?
if there was music, it would be more disturbing.
Yeah. Well.
All right. If we're going in the shower, we're going in.
Go
We're going in
Hot.
all the way. We're going in full BFR.
full throttle.
So we talked about BFR last week, which is basically, as Will put it, strapping yourself into a ballistic missile so you can get anywhere in 30 minutes or less. One of the things I brought up last week that I had a big open question about was how BFR, in the context of really setting the stage of people getting to Mars, there's going to be radiation shielding for in this rocket. And Elon, just out of nowhere.
No, he heard you.
No. Well, he did an AMA in our space, just sort of out of nowhere. And people asked him these questions, and somebody asked the radiation shielding question because it is one of the natural questions to ask. And his answer was not satisfactory, let's just say. It was like, we'll work it out kind of answer. I'm like, that isn't, he gave a non-answer to that question.
There were a bunch of non-answers. Was he there selling hats? Selling Boring Company hats?
Elon, come on.
No, I mean, we're being hard on him, but
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make fun of him. He doesn't have an answer to this like true, legitimate hurdle.
Right.
And
But the fact he is scientifically minded, he understands physics.
no one has an answer to this question. It's
Okay.
not like I'm saying like this is the obvious thing. Why are you ignoring it? Situation. It's a hard question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like NASA's sitting on top of an answer. But I wish he acknowledged like it's an issue they're still figuring out,
Yes.
which didn't come through.
You wanted to hear more humility about where they were.
Humility, I mean, whatever you want to call that, just like an acknowledgement that they haven't figured it out because that's okay.
Are there insights from his AMA? Things you want to call out?
I mean, I think you're right. I think this is an AMA to check out a link to if you're technically minded. There are a lot of very deep technical questions about like, fuel ratios and shielding and like design schematics. This was way over my head.
Wow.
A lot of the questions in the AMA because it goes like deep in like people are referencing designs from spaceships that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And
Was this his way of just like non-answering, just go overly technical?
I mean, it was a little it's a little show-offy because it allowed him to be more technical than he can be on those stages. But at the same time, I do think some of the biggest questions we got non-answers to.
Show-offy. Man.
You're
a little jealous of Elon Musk.
Yes, I'm jealous of Elon Musk. Like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm jealous of Elon
All right.
Musk.
Just want to acknowledge that.
Okay.
Just a little humility from the side.
Apparently,
here.
no one asked him about the layoffs. By getting technical, he got people all starstruck over his technical answers, and no one asked him about those Tesla
So Tesla
layoffs.
laid off hundreds of people, 400, 500 people last week. But they said they're actually going to fill all those positions. That all of those people were let go. They weren't laid off. They were fired.
They were fired for not performing their
meeting
duties.
performance standards.
Oh, jeez.
Hardcore.
That is brutal.
Yeah.
So these weren't like sales positions. These were like technical positions then.
Oh.
No, I think they were all over the map.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah.
You'll improve morale by firing your fellow coworkers
It's
and
just
replacing them with people we think to be better.
It's funny because
Who left a comment on our space about radiation shielding? You're out of here.
they are behind on the Model 3 shipments. And
They are.
They are working around the clock, burning midnight oil. Or no oil in order to
Burning out the panels, solar panels.
meet their numbers, and in the middle of that, they're firing people. But maybe it's like long-term thinking.
Yeah, this is the overpromising and slow to deliver. The gradual pace to deliver is a genuine concern with Tesla and all of Elon's ventures. We want him to reach far and to be ambitious, but there's only so much execution you can have. Yeah, in that reality. Still can't wait to drive one or to ride in one.
Heck yeah.
Pilot in
Heck
one.
yeah.
There's people have spotted the Apple self-driving car now. The Lexus has a fancy array of LiDAR sensors above it.
It's a Lexus they're using?
I believe it's a Lexus. Yeah. And It looks advanced, but it's of course not. It's a data gathering machine.
Yeah.
All it is. But they do have the rights to the license to test this car in the open, and so they have been. So maybe we'll see something from them in the near future, or maybe the far future, more likely. Before we get to our next segment, I want to thank again the sponsor of today's show, and that is Squarespace. If you're ready to start your new business, make it stand out with Squarespace. With beautiful templates created by world-class designers, Squarespace makes it easy to turn your idea into a new and unique website. You can showcase your work, blog, or publish content, or even sell products and services of all kinds in just a few clicks. Customize everything from the look and feel to settings and the products themselves. You get analytics to help you grow in real time. Not to mention, everything is optimized for your phone and tablet for mobile right out of the box, and hundreds of extensions to choose from. Nothing to ever install, patch, or upgrade ever. And if you ever have questions, Squarespace has award-winning 24/7 customer support there to help you so you can make your dream a reality with Squarespace. And to support our podcast, go ahead and head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use an offer code TEST, T-E-S-T as the offer code, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com with the offer code TEST.
I'm a pinball nerd. Pin. Just the right point. Finally, pinball. That makes me very happy. Yes, and what else makes me happy is a new pinball machine announcement. Friday? Last week, the new game from Jersey Jack Pinball was announced.
Oh.
And it is Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, you might be asking yourself, isn't there already a Pirates of the Caribbean pinball machine?
From Stern.
And you are right. It came out 11 years ago.
And from when the last batch of movies came out?
Yeah, after one of them came out.
Yeah.
Was it the first one?
Maybe the second one.
This new one, it combines all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean films.
There are 5 of them.
Which was news to me. Who knew how many Pirates films were? I think only one of them really got good reviews. Like, great reviews.
One of the movies.
Yeah.
The first 2 were
the first 2 were good?
Yeah.
All right. In any case, this game looks great. It looks great. This is their 4th game that they've made. These are the guys that put an LCD panel into the back glass.
Is it a wide game or is it
It's a wide body.
Okay.
So just like they made Wizard of Oz, The Hobbit, Dialed In, which was the first original, IP game that we've seen in a decade. Mm-hmm. And now Pirates will be their 4th game. It's a wide body, but it plays fast. Like, it's hard to make a fast-playing wide body because there's so much play field there. But this, from the reveal videos where we watched an hour of people playing this game.
An hour as a reveal video?
Yeah. People,
wow.
They brought it to Expo, which is a very long-running pinball expo in Chicago. And they revealed it there, which is, I think they revealed most of their games there. And it plays very fast. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of stuff going on. It has an upper play field in the upper right, which is a ship that you can get the ball up onto with a ramp, and the ship is constantly on the waves.
Wait. Like a deck of a ship or the full ship?
No, like a deck of a ship.
Wow.
And so it's constantly moving?
It's constantly rocking back and forth, left and right. And so there's 2 mini flippers up there, and you waiting, timing the rocking. You have to hit these targets, and then if you can hit the little lock shot up there, it goes into a cannon that you can then fire from this rocking ship horizontally across the playfield into another ship.
To destroy the other ship?
To destroy the other ship. And if you get it through the hole, which is a timing exercise, that's you get the jackpot or whatever starts the thing.
That's amazing.
It's super cool. It has a spinning thing in the center that's 3 different concentric spinning discs.
Oh,
and it
a round, like a theater round.
Yeah, and it's like it does crazy things with the ball, but it also works as a randomizer. Has so many different possibilities of awards that it can award based on what disc stops and when. It also has 105 scenes from the movies.
This is a lot.
Yeah, and every game that you start takes 5 scenes from each of the 5 movies. So you get 25 scenes that you will have to play through in order to finish your game of pinball.
You can finish the game?
Yeah, you can finish most games. Like you get to the wizard mode, although it's very difficult.
Right.
But the point is, every game you play will be different.
Right.
They're saying there's some crazy math, like quintillion number of possibilities.
Well, it's only 100. You'll see different.
You'll probably see the same modes, but never the same combination.
Of course.
Of 25.
Right.
And so every time you play, it'll be a
so they have
slightly different game. 105 different
scenes. Scenes, which is each scene isn't just a video playing.
Yeah.
It's a challenge or it's some goal.
Some goal that has to do with one of the scenes in the movies.
For a game like Batman that Stern did, like the animated series, how many video clips and scenes do you think they pulled out for that?
Yeah, right. And like with this, they're watching all the movies, pulling all the footage in. I mean, it's unlimited because they have hard drives in there now.
Right, but it's also how much work they want to put in.
Oh, it's so much work. Plus, it's all layered. Like, it's a video game still, like on the screen. So they got the movie stuff, but then they have all these layers of effects on top and text.
Wow. So when you were watching the video, what were the things going through your head, like in terms of, do you want this? Like,
I was skeptical.
Replayability, theming.
I feel like
toys.
I feel like the theme is a little stale. You know, I think we all kind of feel that way, maybe. But when you see the game in action and you see some of the innovative things they're doing, it's really exciting. Now, I don't think personally that their first couple games played that great, but this is a new designer. This game is actually designed by a guy who's never done a machine before, but he's an electrical engineer and mechanical engineer who's been working at Jersey Jack for the past 5 years.
What about flow?
Doesn't that give you pause, like his first game?
I've seen interviews with this guy, and I've seen his electrical and mechanical engineering work on the other games, and that's solid. And having seen this game in play on the video, I have faith in it. And so the fact that it plays fast, and the fact that you can work on the game, he's thought about that because he's also an operator, how you can take things apart and put them back together in a way that makes sense on location, doesn't take you all day. And the fact that he knows how to make things that are robust and they won't break. And seeing what this game can do, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this game.
Are you going to pre-order it?
No, because it costs $8,500.
Oh,
for the basic one. If you want like this,
oh my!
If you want all the molded,
that's only 7 iPhones.
If you want all the molded toys, it's $9,500.
And you don't even get all the toys.
No,
with the basic one.
No. And if you want the barnacle encrusted case and like all the goodness, all the bling,
it's all purely aesthetic.
$12,500.
Purely aesthetic differences.
All the upgrades are aesthetic. They all play the same.
You want the middle one, all the toys.
Exactly. That's
$10,000
after shipping. It would be, yeah.
Plus tax.
Well, you don't no tax still if you pay out of state.
So, what did like Wizard of Oz cost?
I think 8,000, maybe 75.
So it's still close. It's still in that range.
I want to say 75. I guess it was the same range, but I put that on location, so that earned itself back after a couple years. So why
wouldn't this earn itself back?
Someone else is already putting it on location. Plus, I don't want to do that anymore.
You don't want to not have the machine to play?
It's too much of an investment. The Stern games are half the cost, and they earn just as quickly. So as an investment, there are faster ways to make your money. But I want to play this game.
Wow. You'll spend hundreds of dollars playing this game.
Convince your friend Elon to buy one. Set it up somewhere. Invite you over.
My friend Elon?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Your friend Elon Musk. He hasn't enough money to buy one of these.
He does. He could probably afford a couple of these.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. You had a pinball story?
Yeah. So this past weekend, I forgot to mention at the top, but this weekend also went to Science Hack Day. A friend of Tested, Ariel Waldman, along with some other people, put on a hackathon. And this is a 2-day event in San Francisco. This year was at the GitHub headquarters. I stopped by on the second day to check out. It was, dozens of teams, all ages, from kids putting together some arts projects to adults doing some extreme coding. And then they do have 2 minutes to do a demo. Some of the projects were more high concept or novelty projects, like a automated burrito maker, which didn't really work, or what I thought was cool, a piece of software that takes an image of your cat or any cat and then finds a constellation in the sky that matches your cat. So basically you can meme a constellation.
I like the sunglasses that you could push a button and they auto darken.
That was cool. It's like a one panel LCD. But they're doing these in 2 days. But the coolest one I thought was something called Pinbot. And there was a pinball machine at GitHub, an old school pinball machine. I don't even know if it was a digital one. But regardless,
didn't matter.
Doesn't matter, exactly. They set up a webcam with some basic computer vision and some machine learning and programmed it to play pinball.
It auto-play,
and auto-played pinball.
I love it.
I don't know if it was any strategy built in terms of like getting aiming or figuring out the velocity of the ball coming at you, because I don't think at the frame rate of that camera you could detect that. So at the most basic, it was about if the ball was in this general area, you want to hit. You want to actuate the solenoid.
Which is what a hack is, right?
Yep. But you can imagine like the complexities of not just even learning the game, but the complexities of how you would program a system to just play differently based on where the ball was coming in from, where it was landing on the flipper, and the speed and all that stuff. That's super difficult.
This is the new AlphaGo. This is it.
There you go.
I love
Jeremy
this.
versus this pinball.
I love this idea. I want to see this as like somebody's thesis project. Honestly, I mean, just like expand this idea into something that can watch where the ball goes and aim for shots completely visually. That's really fascinating. It could learn to play any game.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's go to next segment.
Are we doing science this week, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, very
Let's
good.
do it.
Now it's time for a moment of science. All right, I'm coming in hot this week. Not even supernova hot. It's time to go kilonova hot.
Kilonova.
So,
Sounds like a rapper.
when stars die, oh yeah, does sound like a rapper. When stars die, one of their final phases for certain stars is a neutron star. If you want the best, most entertaining life cycle of a star, Rachel Bloom from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend did a video that involves dancing and the life cycle of a star. It's amazing. But neutron stars are these incredibly dense, small remnants of a dead star. And by small, I mean they can be as small as like 12 miles in diameter. 12 miles for a star. But like imagine the density of a star
In that small size.
In that small of a size.
Ooh.
It's pretty dense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of gravity.
Yeah, there's some gravity. So what if, imagine this holy grail situation where we found two neutron stars and they rammed into each other.
Okay. The neutron dance.
So about 150 million years ago, dinosaurs still roaming around, two neutron stars collided into each other. They circled each other, collided, massive interaction. It caused a ripple in space-time. Luckily, we have, on this planet now, a couple detectors for ripples in space-time. So the LIGO detector in August picked up an alert about an unusual signal coming across. And I know I talked about a detection last week. This one is amazing. So it picked up a detection. So it sends an automated alert to the other detector that's in Italy, being like, do you see anything? And it sends automated alerts around. And so they picked up a gravitational wave coming off of this collision. Then this alert, because I guess the system is set up this way, sent an alert to astronomers across the world, particularly at a telescope in Chile. And 10 hours later, they pointed a telescope at the site that they thought this was, and they saw light emanating from the collision.
Now, the gravitational waves would have traveled at the same speed as the light?
Yes, but the ripple that caused the gravitational wave occurred before the collision, like the final explosion of the star.
So it's like thunder before the lightning.
Yes, sure. Thunder before the light.
It's because the event hasn't actually happened until after the waves. So we saw the star. They saw the collision.
We saw the collision, and what's amazing about this is, so there was different expulsions of categories of rays that came off this. There were gamma ray bursts that came off of this, X-ray bursts, and basically astronomers across the world were started getting text messages about point every telescope you have at this thing. And there's this wonderful story about an astronomer here in California was at an amusement park with his daughter, got the alert, he told his wife, see ya, hopped on a bike and biked to his office. And so the discovery had, there was a paper released on this, multiple papers released on this, involved 4,000 scientists. That's almost a third of the total astronomers on this planet were involved in this discovery. And there's lots of details you can go into on this, and I think the New York Times has a brilliant video that explains sort of the origin of this in an amazing way. But I think what the most fascinating fact out of it is we can't explain the reason certain heavy elements exist. Like our star can only generate elements up to a certain weight. Beyond that, like stuff like gold and platinum, like some of the really heavier elements on the periodic table, we have theories on how they form, but no idea how. This explosion generated gold and platinum and all sorts of other heavy elements.
Ooh.
They saw this through spectrography?
Mm-hmm.
What? That's awesome.
So I think that's one of the highlight things. But many other elements beyond that also were formed by this and sent across the universe. It was just an amazing, amazing discovery. And so I'll encourage people to check out the New York Times.
Real quickly,
learn more.
These sensors, these detectors that we now have, is there only one chance per gravitational wave to get that, or are there after ripples?
No, like those ripples are continual through a certain time, but the detectors are only sensitive to a certain level. So it's not like, I'm sure there's gravitational waves that we're missing.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That are happening. And so and the triangulation effect of having multiple of these.
You need that. That's really
in order
interesting.
for them to point telescopes.
Exceeded all expectations.
This is crazy. That Virgo one in Italy only turned on a few months ago. So it's amazing. You want to make some money? Because science startups are always happening. And there's the hottest new science startup is out there, and I think we could get jobs in them.
I'm in.
Ready?
I'm in.
It's all about fashion meets science.
Oh, tell me more.
With spider silk.
Ooh.
Spider silk.
Spider silk has actually been an element of great interest because of its incredible high tensile strength, its durability. It even has some hydrophobic capabilities.
You're talking about web slinging right now.
Oh, I'm going full Peter Parker here. And so research labs, even at my university, a health sciences university, study spider silk. And so
for sutures?
Just like the basic sort of material properties. It has applications in health down through new material science. Well, a number of startups have started manufacturing spider silk, artificial spider silk, and it's basically these long chains of proteins that they're basically spinning into webs, and they have started to come out with their first applications,
which is
and it's mostly in fashion.
Like clothes made out of spider silk?
Yeah, so North Face is working on a backpack that's made of spider silk. That was supposed to go on the market this year, but I think it's delayed until 2018 or 2019.
Are you talking about entire swaths of it, or just as like rope and string?
It's more like rope and string. Like it's part of the construction of it, but it's going to have like higher durability. It's going to have higher water resistance. And now Adidas has made a shoe with spider silk.
Interesting.
So this is like the new hot trend now in science, is leveraging new material science properties of spider silk to make our clothes.
Very cool.
Best hoodie ever, spider silk hoodie.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week. Oh my goodness.
A lot to cover.
When
we're supposed to end this podcast 7 minutes ago.
We are running out of time. We haven't been having podcasted since OC4.
I know.
Oh gosh. Should we do it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Oculus Connect 4 last week. First of all, really happy to see everyone there. Wish it could have been longer. I know a lot of developers came by to say hi. And thank you for doing that. And we got a bunch of demos. We chatted with a bunch of people. We did our video, which was recorded the day of. But as some of you may know, we were unable to film our annual video interview with Nate from Oculus. So we had to settle for an audio recording that we then took notes from and posted some highlights from. But we did get the Santa Cruz demo. So Oculus announced the Go headset and the Santa Cruz prototype, the newest version of.
Yeah, not everyone knows about this yet. Like I was telling people about this yesterday. Apparently, VR is still a small set of people.
Wait. So, yeah, the Go headset. It's a $200 headset that's completely standalone. You don't put your phone in there. It has all the hardware it needs to run 360 tracking, 3 degrees of freedom VR experiences.
It is a Android device. It is a Gear VR, essentially, that is standalone. It's no phone, as you said, $199, a giftable price, maybe even for people who have an iPhone that always were curious about Gear VR, it's a device they might pick up for themselves.
And they designed it in a way that will be binary compatible with existing Gear VR.
No
So
recompile needed.
any app that already works for Gear VR will run on the Oculus Go, which is great because they've already funded a bunch of Gear VR apps. And so it'll work with, Bluetooth controller, some type of waggle wand, itself also with only 3 degrees of tracking, which is the Gear VR experience today. It'll probably be the best kind of Gear VR style experience you're going to get in the next 6 months.
I think something that's underrated because no one has it yet is the user experience part. I think the idea that you'll be able to put it on and it's only a VR device. You don't have to deal with
as far as we know.
I'm pretty sure that, I have to believe that.
Well, we asked them specifically how much of Android would they service, and they could only say, interesting question, we're not ready to talk about that yet.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more to it than that, but the interface will be VR.
The fact that, yes, you're right, that they looked at the existing Oculus Home for Gear VR, their shell, and the fact that they've done as much as they could in terms of letting you put your headset on with the phone in there and get some type of home experience. They know that's not a good experience. They know that's not the best that they can do. So because they're going to control the software to the hardware, the fact that the moment you put it on, you have some new type of menu experience, and maybe from there you'll be able to access some of the Android OS, whether it's for files or there's no camera, so I don't know what else you would want to do in there. But it's all customized for Go.
Yeah.
That alone, that convenience of not having to worry about what else is running on your phone and hit the launch button and put it on. That's going to make it easy to get into.
It has
that
integrated audio.
Yes.
Which I don't think Gear VR has at all, does it? You have to use
no, you use headphones.
Or just the speaker on your phone, which is like the worst experience.
Yep.
So this has integrated audio. It's not fantastic. It's these drivers that are actually in the hardware itself that get funneled a little bit through the strap.
It's not as good as the Rift?
No, because it's not over the ear.
So sound quality-wise, like the actual fidelity is not as good.
And you wouldn't want to use this anywhere in public because everyone else can hear a little bit from your headset.
Got it.
But the fact that you get positional audio.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, it's better than nothing.
Positional audio only makes sense in the Santa Cruz because you have positional tracking. In the Go version, I guess if there's mixed audio.
No, I think we're like three DOF.
You have 3 DOF audio.
Yeah, which is great.
Around
it's great.
Binaural audio.
And that helps with motion sickness, and it's a wonderful thing to have. I'm glad they did that.
The thing that we don't know about is how much of a walled garden will this be?
Yeah, like in order to
that's the biggest thing. Like the fact that they're selling it for $200, this is going to be a device selling almost at cost, is what they're telling us to get in the hands of users. So it's to get people to buy stuff through their store. If you can't sideload a movie on there, it's going to be dead on arrival.
But we don't know how much storage it has to begin with.
Well, wouldn't it just use like one of the services that's already in the Oculus store?
People want to sideload. People want to sideload apps and movies.
It's Android. Content. People will find a way.
If there's no USB way to tap into the file structure, if it's only Wi-Fi for updates and for downloads.
What do you imagine? There's a barrel jack for charging? I bet that'll be the USB jack.
But the USB jack might not give you access to file structure.
Yeah.
It may just be power.
I don't know. They got to service it and debug it somehow. I'll bet.
I hope there's a micro SD card slot, which didn't look like from what we saw.
Yeah.
And no one's seen it in person, but when we saw in the promo images.
That was the weird thing to me, is that at this event where Go was one of the biggest things that they announced, they didn't have it there.
No.
It's supposed to be in developers' hands next month.
Right. Coming out early next year.
That was weird.
Right. But what we did get to actually put on was Santa Cruz. So this is inside-out tracking, running similar, mobile class hardware in terms of their spectrum of good, better, best. If good is Oculus Go, better is going to be Santa Cruz. And who knows what's going to be in the best line.
Rift 2, you mean?
No, the Rift 2 is not on the best line because that's a separate track. That's PC track.
Oh, you don't think that's the same? That's the
no. I said Go and Santa Cruz are on the good, better, best one track.
Okay.
And Rift is on its own track with PC.
Okay.
Santa Cruz is interesting.
You'd seen it last year.
Yeah.
It didn't have track controllers then. That was their big innovation this year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a standalone, like the Go.
Yep.
It's basically Go with 6 degree of freedom tracking.
Ergonomically, it felt great. Like the rubber headband, the weight of it felt light.
Crazy light.
It felt like the hardware disappeared. The controllers, none of the software they showed us made use of the touchpad.
Yeah.
I know they did show Dead and Buried, and that could have used the touchpad, but we didn't get to try that. But it had a grip trigger, a trigger and a grip button. which we use, the grip.
Very similar to touch controllers, but
no capacitance,
ring in a different spot, no capacitance,
at least in this version.
and touchpads instead of a joystick. However, Nate was very clear that this is a prototype controller. Anything can change.
Anything can change in terms of the hardware. All they know is that they want to get inside-out tracking in a mobile experience.
And to me, the tracking felt very similar to Windows mixed reality.
Yeah.
And they made a big deal out of having a bigger tracker volume. Honestly, it didn't seem that much bigger to me. I picked up a stick in one of the experiences, moved my hand back out of my peripheral vision. So you, just like Windows, you lose tracking outside of your vision, so you never see it happen. But I picked the stick up, kept it pointed in front of my eyes, and then I could tell when I lost tracking because the stick stopped moving.
There's something that you made a point of after the fact was that they were super excited as they should be, and as their event, but Oculus really hasn't really fully embraced room scale. And so they were making such a big deal out of, look how much room scale their demo experience is.
Yeah.
Like, walk around this area, this fake room they've set up, and interact with BOGO, their virtual pet.
All of their tailored experiences so far have been standing.
Exactly. So, of course, they would be excited about it. But as someone who's used room scale in various capacities, it just felt like that with lighter headset where the headset disappeared.
Yeah,
It's like,
that was funny. Like their big thing that they were showing off was the fact that you could walk around, not an experience that would take advantage of that.
Right. It was still a very easy, casual onboarding experience. What
Yeah.
I'd hoped they would do was give us an experience where you would be encouraged to really move your head positionally around, stress test that tracker.
Yeah.
But we were given, look at the animal here, follow it around as it walks around this play area, throw a stick, grab stuff, and that was fine. It's just that, I think they give maybe the users, at least there, too little credit.
Maybe the Dead and Buried experience would have been better for that because you could walk out of the,
Right.
avoid things.
Right.
More of a space pirate trainer kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, it's a year off. Like,
I know,
and
at
it's
least.
still very prototype.
Right? Like, we don't know. Developer units for Santa Cruz will go out next year.
They said within a year. I mean, it's gonna be a while. But I'm glad they're working on it. The interesting thing to me, the most interesting thing about the whole event, I kind of think that Go is interesting too, but was the Carmack talk. And
Yep.
he was very clear about Moore's law coming to an end in the relatively near future, and the fact that the most powerful pieces today are
You'll never get that processing power on mobile.
yeah, like that just is something that
It's not possible.
we've always assumed that if you wait long enough, technology will catch up and hardware will get faster. And game developers have leaned on Moore's law for decades now. And in the VR space, that's not going to be possible in order to bring what we see on PC these days to VR. Now, he did say he believes it's possible to take the soul of whatever experience you have on PC and port that. But to get any kind of graphical fidelity, good performance, it's going to take it's going to take this engineering level of dissecting how processors work and how graphics work, and really get inside the metal, and it's going to bring out optimizations and great engineering.
Cool. Yeah. No. And then on the Rift side, what I took away, and it wasn't explicitly said, but what I understood was that Rift 2 will probably not be wireless.
Yeah,
That's disappointing.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like TPcast has already announced, support for
Oculus.
Rift.
Yep.
So
It's expensive price point.
So that's the option. If you really want wireless,
Right.
go in on that. I think Oculus has set a precedent here with $399 as the new permanent price point. They're saying cost is a priority for them, and
I don't think that
they can't.
Rift 2 is going to be $400 at launch.
Whatever it is, it would be more expensive if it was wireless.
Sure.
That's
Yes.
the point.
Yeah.
And
they don't want to sell a $1,000 Rift system.
exactly, like they want to minimize cost, and then for the hardcore, if they want to upgrade to wireless, that's now possible through third parties.
At least on the current Rift. Who knows if they increase resolution and you need more bandwidth, TPcast may not work for, that spectrum may not work for whatever Rift 2 comes out at.
No, that's true, but whatever the next version is, will.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that market is now forming itself.
The thing I asked him was, does he think that Rift 2 can stand on its own when you're going to have positional tracking on a Santa Cruz experience, something you can play Dead and Buried on, and something where we know the liberations of being untethered are so powerful. How can you make Rift 2 compelling if it's just going to be FOV increases, pixel density increases, and better graphics power and GPUs?
Isn't that a big deal?
Dude, I'm sold.
Isn't
Like,
that
and,
enough?
and I made the point that is enough for a lot of people. But I'm like, does it need to be transformative? Do they have to have completely new paradigms? Because on the Steam VR side, you're also going to get increased FOV, increased pixel density, and you also have other things tracked right now with Steam trackers. Like, when are we going to see pass-through video on Rift, and when are we going to see track controllers and or track accessories and bigger room tracking? Like, these are things I want if they're gonna hedge on the PC track being high CPU and maybe not crazy pricing, but people willing to spend more money on the software and spending more money on the hardware. Give us something to be excited about there. I know they're not ready to announce anything.
If you already said they're not making a pivot to room scale, so a lot of the stuff you just mentioned, like accessories, doesn't make sense.
I think they have to make the pivot to room scale in Rift 2 with more cameras or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's inside out. I just fear that it will have a limited field of view, like for the sensors. I don't want the Santa Cruz field of view for Rift 2.
Santa Cruz, you mean the field of view for
controller detection?
Controllers, right?
Yeah, I want
tracking field of view.
100% Rift, proof or Rift parity controller tracking. And I understand that there's body occlusion and there are times when the controllers fail, but there's always the possibility that where my controllers can be tracked. And when I'm playing Echo Arena or Onward, there are games that require that.
Maybe it's both. Maybe it's a combination.
Yeah.
Because if you have good inside-out tracking and you have the processing of your PC, which is going to do that math for you, maybe all you need is one camera behind your back.
I know there's a ton more VR news. Should we save some?
We should save some.
I got a punt.
Yes. And let's go quickly to what we've been testing.
You want to do that later too?
Oh, no, we can do it.
We can do that?
I got a couple quick ones.
All right then.
Testing this week. Hey, what have you guys been testing?
I got 3 quick ones. I got a Roku stick, which has now a quad-core processor in it. So the stick is now faster than my box of the Roku 3. And it's been a really seamless, a great performance. The 1080p looks wonderful. I don't have an HDR television, so I didn't go for the full 4K HDR setup. But at $40, you can't beat it. And I love the universal audio search. I also have been testing out making home phone calls via Google Home. It's Wi-Fi based calling, so it has all of the problems Wi-Fi based calling has. But now my son, who's 6, can make phone calls. He can call me. He can call his grandmother. I think there is something about voice based phone calling that will be the future. And the the future. God, what did I just say? But the multi-directional microphones array has worked really well. It's just the Wi-Fi part. Like if I had Norm's internet, it would be seamless.
Yeah.
And the last thing I've been testing is this. This is a shoe.
Oh, is that Spider Silk?
No Spider Silk. So one of my first tested videos was a tested favorite things, and I talked about how I don't like to tie shoes, and I talked about elastic shoelaces. Well, tested listener Ben Sample, who's a prototyper for a company called BOA, they make shoes with this system, which is a ratcheting lace system. And so you basically pop it down and ratchet it to your preferred tightness, and you pop it open, and it loosens. It's
not just laces, though. There's a whole flap at the top.
Yeah, well, that's the design from New Balance. And so this, Ben sent me 2 pairs of shoes to try this on. And so they're different designs, but they basically all have this kind of nylon thread of different tensile strengths, so you can get different performance out of it. But this ratchet system, which is the same thing I have on my belt, a ratchet belt, it gets such a good fit.
Your waist belt has a ratchet on it?
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things I've come across from this year.
Oh, there you go. Imagine that's going to be on your end of the year video.
At this point, yeah.
Awesome. I think that does it for us this week. We didn't even talk about Super Mario Odyssey.
Did that even come out yet?
10 out of 10. Edge review.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to talk.
Famitsu, 39 out of 40.
Nipples, too.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back next week as one more episode before our live show. More information's on the site. A bunch of stuff more from Adam's trip to the Blade Runner 2049 set visit. His is on the site as well. Some new episodes of Science in Progress, and maybe an episode of Bits to Atoms coming out in a week and a half or a week or so. But until then, do we have an outro?
Yeah, it's this guy with the hard name.
All right.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
What is plasma?
Plasma is the fourth state of matter.
I like accuracy in our outros.
Nice.
Kresimir Valjak.
Bye.